Sauerkraut is all-American. It was brought originally by German immigrants, as well as other European groups, but was borrowed and adapted throughout the U.S. Even though it retains the German name, it is used today as a condiment, a side dish, and a main dish. It also frequently appears at holiday meals, for Thanksgiving in Baltimore and the Midwest, and for New Year's Day for many Americans. All of these traditions of sauerkraut come together in Northwest Ohio, where, above all, it is a family tradition. 4 generations of the Boger family are scattered throughout Pennsylvania and Ohio. They have a long tradition of making, canning, and eating sauerkraut.
My name's Cindy Boger, and I'm currently living in Athens, Ohio, but I'm originally from Mercer, Pennsylvania. My earliest memory of sauerkrauting is sneaking down to my grandma's basement, and there would always be a big crock of dill pickles and sauerkraut, and I used to go down and sneak them until the day I accidentally dipped into a vat that had liquid smoke in it. Doesn't taste quite like sauerkraut or dill pickles, so I never snuck down there again. We had it often, but you had to eat it on New Year's Day. It didn't matter. We have stories of kids screaming and crying and kicking because they have to eat sauerkraut on New Year's Day. But the superstition is that you have to eat it for good luck because you root ahead, rooting the pig, the pork, and ahead is cabbage for the sauerkraut. When Melissa was growing up, we would either have pot roast or sauerkraut every Sunday. Those were the 2 Sunday meals, and apple pie. Sauerkraut, applesauce, and mashed potatoes.
Irish, German, English, but they used a lot of German dishes. It was just something we had often with pork. And I remember my grandmother used to stuff green peppers with sauerkraut and put it in a brine. And then in the winter you would get, it was like a pickle with sauerkraut in. And they made a big crock of those, and they were always in their basement. And later, we used to make the sauerkraut balls. That was sort of an appetizer that came later, 30 years ago. This one hotel in Cleveland did the sauerkraut balls. They were 50 cents a piece then. They used them. There's a lot of Polish and German in that area.
Sauerkraut reflects a culture of resourcefulness, frugality, and making do. It also brings back lots of memories.
You're going to have to make at least 30 pounds. That's the least you can make.
Why? Why 30 pounds?
Well, because of the stomping. The layers. You have to have 3 layers at least.
I never knew that.
Oh, well.
Right. So like a 10 pound layer, stomped, 10 pounds
Add the
stomped.
salt.
Okay.
But you have to do at least 30 pounds.
Well, like how many heads though would that be? Cabbage though.
Basically, cabbage is sold by the pound, so we could buy 30, but you're going to have some shrinkage on your outer leaves, so you're going to have to buy 35 to 40 pounds.
Making sauerkraut is a labor of love, with the emphasis at times on labor. The equipment the Bogers use are family heirlooms.
The first thing I did on this cabbage was I took the big outer leaves off. And what we'll use these for later is that when you finish cutting all the kraut, you're going to lay these on top. And it's nice if you can get an inch or so of these big old leaves. And then you weight it down, and that helps hold everything in place and keeps it compressed. This scale is still working well. It's very old. I know that my mom used it, and she's 82. So it's been in the family for a while. It's rusty, but as long as it measures accurately, just tradition, just for the fun of it, we use it. When I was younger, we grew our own cabbage, but I live in the city now, so I don't have the resources to do that. So we buy our cabbage at the grocery store. Okay, so we have our 5 pounds in, so we're going to add 3 tablespoons of salt. And what's important with the salt is to make sure you do not use iodized salt. The salt cannot have any iodine in it. What will happen is your cabbage will be very purple and it won't cure right. And the next step is what we call stomping it, and this is a locust post. This one has a nice crack in that we're going to continue using until it splits the whole way. And you stomp the cabbage until the water, the liquid starts coming out of the cabbage. The first layer, it might not come up right away. And sometimes if we've stomped for a while and we don't have any liquid yet, we let it rest until we get the second layer in. It's important that you always have at least 3 layers of cabbage and salt before you top it off. Oh, you got the water to splash. That's what you want to do. Good job. Oh, look at the water down there now. Ooh. Yeah, isn't that cool?
Yeah.
And once we have all the cabbage shredded and covered with leaves, then we'll weight it down with a rock. This rock is going to be large enough to weight down the cabbage leaves for the size of the crock. But in our large crock, what we do is we use the glass out of a microwave turntable, and then we have a smaller rock that we use to weight it down. And then what will happen is you won't see any liquid at that point, but as the sauerkraut works or ferments, the water will bubble up, and it may come up a 1/4 inch, it may come up 3 inches or more. Sometimes it even flows over top of the crock. You'll often see mold develop in the water. I personally skim the mold if I see it. Some people do not, but that's a natural part of it. And then when the sauerkraut's ready to be canned, what will happen is when the water goes back down below the layer, the level of the cut sauerkraut. So it bubbles and comes up, and then it stays there anywhere from, we've had it as quick as 2 weeks, as long as 8 weeks, and then it settles, disappears, and then you know your sauerkraut's ready.
Foods like sauerkraut can tie us to family, heritage, region, ethnicity, nationality, and back again to family.